Hey everyone, my name is Crenshaw. I'm waiting on Dio, my co-host. But until he gets here, we're gonna go ahead and talk with John from John's Longbox. If you guys do not know John's Longbox or have watched his channel, um, great comic content. Just super thorough in some Sunday morning comics. He gets into the comics themselves. Great debates about who would win, hero versus hero, on his Friday night show, Clobber in Time. But we're just here to talk with him and get to know him and hear about his books and stuff that's coming out. And so, hey, John,
Hey, how
good
you
to have
doing?
you. Good to meet you.
First
And
question I want to ask you: what's the name of your channel so I could throw out a link on Twitter. Get-
um, it is once was cool or Crenshaw. I forget what I named it. It's been so long ago. Let me check my.
Yeah, so I'll throw out a link. But anyway, I'm John from John's Longbox. Like Crenshaw was saying, he's been in my chats for a long time. You've been watching my channel for a while. I always recognize your name. Always
Yeah.
good to see you showing up. And we were talking before that it's so sad to see comic book stores closing, and we were both like lamenting about as a man of older than average bear going into a comic shop. You can't just talk to people about any
Oh
if there's
shit.
anybody else even in the comic shop. I go to the comic. It's me and the old guy watching TV. He's not even talking to anybody. He doesn't even want to be there
Yeah.
anymore. So I made up a YouTube channel to talk comics, and I've been doing it now for 4 years, and for like 2 years, it was just me talking into a microphone. Maybe I'd get a comment on a video like a week later and stuff like that, but I just didn't give up. And next thing you know, I'm talking to people every week. People are asking to come on. It was like one of those curves that's like nothing, 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 and then
Yeah.
exponential. So it's a lot of fun.
And you've gotten some real great gets too.
Yeah, it's people keep asking me, what's your secret? My secret is be a pest. I just keep
Yeah.
asking. If they say no, they say no. But if they say, yeah, I'm kind of busy right now, okay, I'll try again in a month.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
Walt Simonson, he kept saying no for a year. Well, not no. He kept saying he was busy. He was busy. He's busy. And then one day he was just like, all right, let's go tomorrow. I was like, okay, so
and there's no, you can't not say yes to
yeah. What am I going to
that.
say? No, tomorrow wasn't ready.
Yeah.
I had Mark Miller on, of Wanted and all. He's probably
Mhm.
like the biggest comic book guy ever. But that was because of now I can't even remember her name. Valerie D'Orazio. She was an editor for Marvel Comics that worked with Mark back in the '90s, and she's been watching my channel for a while, and I've been talking to her about coming on. She finally came on my channel, but she was like, "Mark, you got to go on this guy's channel. You'd hit it off." So
Yeah.
that's how it came on my channel. And then I just started like looking people up online to get their phone numbers. And I cold called Jim Shooter. He just picked up the phone, and I just started talking to him.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay, all right, well, I'll come on next week." So I don't recommend doing that. It'll probably get 1,000 people calling them up. But I,
Yeah.
like a guy I work with is friends with Frank Miller's bodyguard, and he's been trying to get Frank Miller. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
I talk to everybody, and you'd be surprised how many people are into comics, or know somebody who's into comics, or have a relative that's somebody in comics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what I recommend is be friendly and talk to everybody. It seems like comic books are one of those hobbies that people are kind of like embarrassed about or shy about. I don't care.
Mhm.
I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah.
What I want to talk about, and then see if I am annoying them. I change the subject or whatever.
Yeah. My that's probably one of my bigger problems in life is I don't talk to anybody. So
Yeah, I'll. Uh, a lot of people. I could. My wife is terribly introverted. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
it's a difficult time. What's the name of your channel again? Did you say it?
Um, it at once was cool is so it's all one word. Once was cool.
At once. At once was cool. I must have spelled it wrong here. Once was cool. It's not coming up.
Oh, I'll try just Crenshaw
Did you
F.A.O.
put,
then
did you,
might be.
did you put the YouTube link on? Because if you go on StreamYard, well,
Mhm.
I guess you have to leave it. It's a show on YouTube. You take that and you put that on YouTube, or you put that on Twitter to show people the link.
Yeah, I sent that out a couple times. I did just before we
Okay.
came on as well.
Okay, I'm gonna retweet it. Oop. Okay.
But yeah, I'm at that place where you were a few years ago, where it's just
Yeah. One of my
on.
friends told me I can't watch your videos. They're too bad.
Yeah,
if you go back and watch my early videos, it's just me whispering into a camera.
yeah, yeah. On the plus side, I have been around on X and stuff, and getting to talk to people on there. So um, having a little bit of connection helps me to reach out and ask some people on. So it's not just me talking about whatever, it's me and someone else just talking about whatever. But so yeah, I think you're roughly 10 years senior on my age. So you're a comic
I'm
book.
56.
Yeah. So yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you got into comic books, it was you were what, 80s.
I tell people it's 1975. That's just, there was always comics in my house. I have two older brothers, two older sisters, and there was, if there wasn't comic books, Fantastic Four, there was Archie, and there was always
Mhm.
comics around. And back then in the 70s, there was comics everywhere. Everybody read comics. Not everybody collected comics, but everybody got a comic here and there,
Yeah.
And then I became known as, this guy likes them. So my brother's friends would be like, "Hey, you want comics?" Or my friends would be like, "Yeah, just take them." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they didn't read them. I read them over and over again. So but so I just rounded. I just rounded to make easy math. 1975 is when I started collecting comics.
Oh yeah.
The first comic I bought with my own money was Fantastic Four 186 or 87. I forget the exact number, but it was Led Wein writing it. It was George Perez drawing it, Joe Sinnott inking it, and it was a Fantastic Four versus Claw. And then at the end, Reed Richards turns into the Molecule Man. It was like a really weird issue because it was like already, like, it was finishing up the issue beforehand, setting up the issue before, and then like a lot of like beginning of subplot. So it wasn't the most newbie friendly comic, but I was fascinated. It was worth the work. Like, it made me want to go and find, but I didn't understand the concept of getting back issues.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just got the comic. Like, what's going on? So I just went to other comic book stores and bought other Fantastic Four and stuff. But had I read the ads, I would have saw that there was places that you could buy back issues, get the exact numbers that you were missing. So I just, I'd buy the next issue, which may have been 2 issues later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I like when I don't have an old Fantastic Four right here, but I have some old comics right here. But like this isn't a good example, but like, okay, so here's this old Spider-Man right here. It says 23 in the corner, but there was like a serial number, like it would say like 1840. So I didn't know what all these numbers were. I didn't know you're supposed to get them in order. So I just bought comics because the covers look cool. And then my friends started explaining, like, they come out once a month. This number is consecutive. You got to get them in a row. And I was like, oh. And then I became like kind of depressed. Like, there's 186 other Fantastic Four comics that I don't have. And it's funny because when you look at the back issues, like Joe Koch's comics or whatever, you see, hey, Levi, how you doing, Levi?
How you doing, Levi? And while we're at it, let's get Dio. He just showed up. So.
Oh, cool.
What's up, gentlemen? Hey, John.
What's going on, Dio?
Hey, Crenshaw. How's it going, guys?
All right.
Good. So if you got those, like, if you wouldn't, you could have got like Fantastic Four #1 for like $18 back then, which,
yeah,
it's still a lot of money, but it's not what it is today. But like, oh man. And the story I always told is that there was a comic book store that opened up in my neighborhood, And I'll never forget, he had a glass booth with all the old comics, and he had Amazing Fantasy 15, Uncanny X-Men #1, and a Fantastic Four #1. Just next to, there was $65 each.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at him going, who would ever spend $65 on a comic book? You know, I wish I had, if I had a time machine, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'd go back, buy all the comics. I guess you'd have to go, I don't know, go to a bank now and get old money. You go
Exactly.
The thing about, $18 for a comic at that point, the last, I don't know, 25 comics I bought have been at $25 a pop, because they're all crowdfunded.
Right. Yeah. But I remember $65 for Amazing Fantasy 15. Like, I don't remember if it was in the best condition or not, but I was like, that's the first Spider-Man. It was right there.
Man.
Yeah. And Dio, you ever run into any old, really like primo comics? You were like, oh, I need to get that and couldn't, or whatever.
I think the most expensive comic I bought back in the day was Spider-Man when he got the cosmic power. And I think I paid like $20 for it. It was, I was a kid, and it just seemed like a big deal. And I read it more than it was. Like, I don't know what it's worth today, if it's even worth anything. And I probably got swindled, but I wanted that book bad, man. So I bought that as a kid. But other than that, I've seen some of these books, but they've been priced out. I've been priced out at the time that I've seen, like Amazing Fantasy and all that other stuff. But but no, yeah, I think the most expensive one that I bought was that comic. I couldn't tell you what issue it was now. It's, like I told you, my collection's gone, but I remember I was pretty stoked to have it.
Yeah, I remember that comic. This is my oldest Spider-Man right now. I bought a collection from somebody, so I have Amazing Spider-Man from 25 up, and then every once in a while, I'll if I see it and I have some extra money, I'll buy. In like now, I got 23, so I'll start looking for a good deal on 22.
Yeah, nice.
You know what I mean? But I got to buy them. But just look at this glorious Steve Ditko Green Goblin, and it's a good condition.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks pristine.
Yeah. Well, this place rates 1 to 5, and this is a 3.5. So on a scale of 1 to 10, that's
7,
an 8. But I mean, things don't have to be in mint condition for me. But I if I could get them in better condition for $10, $20 more, then I'll do that. Especially these older comics. But here's I've been getting Justice League. I found a good #1. This one has like a stamp on it. I didn't realize it until after I bought it. It just looked like part of the comic. But this is #15, and then
yeah,
I just take turns getting an expensive comic. I probably won't be getting any expensive comics for a while. I'm just I've been American Splendor #3. It's kind of fun. So
Levi Steen says the cosplays I bought as a kid was X-Men 150. It cost me my lunch money for the week. I starved for that issue.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's awesome, Levi.
That's with Magneto and Cyclops shooting him with the I-beams, and Magneto having like a magnetic force field. Yeah.
Now, I never really went and spent a lot of money on a comic. Most I spent on a comic is, like I said, it's been these crowdfunded books that have been draining my account, and haven't gotten any lately. I'll tell you that right now. But,
yeah, I get crowd. I'm trying to look to have I read. This is my stack of comics that I read today. Nothing crowdfunded today. Although this was in my stack of unread comics. Brigade #3. Oh,
that's
my God.
That's awesome.
So when you were, you got into comics and, you still are into superheroes and stuff, but at what point did you start getting into like breaking off into the indie stuff, and getting into the black and white?
I worked in a comic book store in the 80s. I graduated high school in 87, and I started working in a comic book store, I think like 85 after school. And my job was to go to the basement of the comic store and organize all their comics. It was just long boxes. Like, I don't know if you see the picture of my comic book room.
Mm-hmm.
Just picture that and then a whole double that, but each box was just any random comics.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So I loved it. I just went down there and I just took long boxes out and just organized them. It took me the entire summer. After work every day, I'd go there on Saturdays, and just organize these comics. That was the best. And I just started seeing a lot of cool comics, and then Larry, who owned the store, he'd be like, you should get this, you should get that, So I was full on Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And the Crisis on Infinite Earths got me into DC. And but even before I got to DC, because I got to remember, there was the Elementals by Comic Co. That was like the first non-Marvel DC comic that I just was obsessed with that comic, because I play a role-playing game called Villains and Vigilantes.
Yeah.
Bill Willingham did some of the art for Villains and Vigilantes, and then he used some of the characters from Vigilante as the bad guys in the Elementals. So I got that, and then I was like, I got to get everything by Comic Co, because that's the kind of obsessive I am. And then from that just opened the doors. Then I saw like Eclipse Comics, First Comics. What's the other one that's escaping my memory right now? But I just got all of these. And the funny thing is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out. And I remember looking at it. I had it in my hand. We had a stack of them in the store. I was in the store, and I was like, this is garbage. I was like offended by it. And never bought it. And it was only like 3 or 4 months ago I read my first Teenage Mutant Ninja. Like, I just hated them for so long. I don't know what it was. Just an instant dislike. And I'm so mad now when I see that comic is like $180,000 right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, man. And we had a stack of them. I remember putting them on the shelf.
Huh.
But,
I mean, was it just like, did you look at it and think, oh, they're making fun of the stuff?
Right. They're making fun of the X-Men. They're making fun of Frank Miller. They're making fun of, comic books. Like, how dare they? Dio, I know you're into punk rock. Have you ever heard of a band called Crucial Youth?
It sounds familiar, but there's so many youth bands, like Youth of Today,
Right. Well,
Youth
that's
Brigade.
Crucial Youth was a goof on all of the youth bands.
Okay. That's awesome.
The LP was on milk white vinyl for wholesome goodness.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And when they would play, they would bring out the youth brush, and they had an oversized toothbrush. And they would brush over the skinhead's head. And all their songs were like, milk is good for you. Listen to your mother. Like, they were making fun. And I was like, they're making fun. They're making fun of hardcore. They're making fun of, but they were great. These guys knew how to play,
That's
so
awesome.
They won me over. But, that's what Teenage Mutant Ninja. I was like, how dare they? Because I took it too seriously.
Having gone back and actually read it now, how do you feel about it?
I bought a fifth printing. That was the because I tried to get first printings of all comics. I couldn't afford a first, so I got a fifth printing. That was the best I could afford, and it was excellent. It was
right.
It was really, really good. I'm trying to get a issue 2, but I'm trying to get the earliest printing that I can afford. I don't want an 11th printing, and I'm looking forward to reading it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was talking to Levi, I think, last time about the collected collections that I had as a kid. They're gone now, but yeah, having the original comics would be awesome. But yeah, it is a fun story, man. It's actually it takes some fun, wacky turns, and I'm actually interested in reading the newest, I guess, the Last Ronin book that came out a little while ago, and I'm actually interested in checking that out again. Dip my toes back into the turtle pond, so to speak. But yeah, Ninja Turtles, man, fun stuff, dude.
So I'm trying to think what year was the first issue of Ninja Turtles, but by that time I think I was high school, late in high school. So, and then by the time but I was the correct age to get the comic and be a fan, because the original comics weren't for little kids,
right?
What I mean? But I just, like I said, I was irrationally offended by this comic. But by the time it was super popular, the cartoons came out and it was selling for little kids. So I was not that demographic. So I just, like He-Man, Transformers, G.I. Joe, I was too old for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Crenshaw, that was probably more your speed.
Oh yeah, right, exactly where I was. I was actually a little old when for like when the Turtles came out. I was maybe a little too old for them, but that's never stopped me from liking kid stuff.
That's awesome.
I remember they were making toy nunchucks and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and it was all for like babies, So I was like,
No,
I never read the comic. I always thought it was geared for kids, so I was like pleasantly surprised when I finally read the issue.
Yeah, my younger brother, one of his birthdays just got loaded up with the toys and stuff, and I dipped my hands into the toy box, playing with them. But no, yeah, I picked up, when I started getting into like the indie comics and stuff. As I said before, a little bit tougher, not having comic book stores for where I used to drive 2 hours to get to here from another town, and I'd have a couple $100 and try to spend it all on comics. And so, and that, I'd picked up a couple of random stray issues of the Turtles, and it was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I wish I could get more of these, But
you didn't have a pull list in your store?
No, because I really could only make it down periodically, and it was just, and I just never was able to do that sort of thing, So, and the money it would have taken, if I had a pool list and come down once a month, I couldn't have afforded whatever that was on that pull list, But we got Dreams Uncharted. Finally managed to catch you guys live. Wish you could have made the pitch stream.
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna do that like maybe once a month. Just do a pitch black, or like, if I can't get a guest for a certain night, you know what I mean. And then, yeah. But I only had 3 people. I was kind of hoping more people would show up. But
yeah.
It was the first time. We'll see. So Dreams Uncharted sounds like you have a comic. So just keep your eyes and ears open. I'll do another pitch black. I don't know. Maybe, like I said, maybe once a month or something. I just think that would be fun.
Yeah. So like, the indie comic scene, like how crazy did you go with that? Because you seem to be, if you buy a comic, you're gonna want to get the rest of the series if you like it. How far did you get into that scene?
I get like a weird satisfaction of like finishing a run, which is why I read this today, because I read issue 1 and 2 like literally 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And this was just sitting in a pile of unread comics. I said, let me read this. And I thought it was a 3-issue series. Now I find out it's a 4-issue series. I got to fit it. And I have no idea. This is the 3rd issue of a 4-issue limited series that I started reading 10 years ago. But I have to read all my comics. I have to read them in order. And, if it's not like a 600-issue series, I have to get them all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like now I'm debating, because this is the first series was 4 issues, and then there was a 22-issue second series. Do I get that? And the answer, I think I'm calming down. Why get and read bad comics and spend money on bad comics? but this Spidey Super Stories, I had all of these as a kid. It was 52 issues. This is Spider-Man with the Electric Company.
That's awesome.
And it's for like second graders to teach kids how to read, so it's the Children's Television Workshop, and people don't realize that back in 1976, 77, kids were afraid of Spider-Man. Nowadays kids aren't, but Spider-Man was scary. There was a made-for-TV movie, and I think it was Sean Cassidy played like a Down syndrome's guy, and that was like a subplot in the movie, that he was afraid of Spider-Man. They hired a guy in a Spider-Man outfit to play his birthday party, and he freaked out. And at the end of the movie special, whatever you want to call it, he made friends with Spider-Man. But so the Electric Company called him Spidey to make it like more friendly.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's funny because you can see this. This is Morgan Freeman as the Easy Reader. He played. That was one of his first acting jobs. But anyway, long story short, these are horrible. But I had them all as a kid, and I don't know where it is. One long box of comics disappeared, and I think somebody stole it because it had my John Byrne X-Men's, but it also had my Spidey Super Stories in it. So congratulations, I got a bunch, and now I'm getting these. And for whatever reason, all of a sudden these are expensive. I can't wait for all of these. I can't wait for the Marvel movies to go away, so my
Yeah.
comic prices will come down again. But one issue had the Thanos copter in it. So because Loki series 1, when they went to the end of the
Yeah,
world, they saw something that said Thanos, and that issue went from like 50s, just as I was just about to buy it, because it was the next one in order. I was like, oh my God.
It's a bummer.
Nobody want. I mean, when I first started rebuying these were like $2 a piece.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. I have just so happens my son has Down syndrome. He loves Spider-Man, so there's that.
Yeah, but now Spider-Man is, what's the word? Ubiquitous. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
There was the Spider-Man TV show as a kid, but like it was, I don't know. Kids were scared of Spider-Man. Think of that face. That face is kind of spooky. That mask that he has. There's no friendly features. There's no smiling mouth. But I remember that vividly back in the 70s. Spider-Man was scary.
Never heard that. So that's a new one.
Yeah.
But like with the indie comics and how I know you love like Love and Rockets and
yes,
you're collecting into that realm because they were indie. I know you worked at a comic book store here and there.
Well, I worked at a comic book store, and Larry, the owner of the comic book store, was very pretentious. And he'll tell you that. He lives a couple of towns away from me. So we still talk. But he was always trying to get me to. He was trying to get anybody who would come in. He would be like, "Oh, this is the comics." He would have like Larry's recommendations, and I always just bypassed Love and Rockets. It didn't interest me until issue 46, and it ended at 50. So that shows you how late I got it. But it just had like a chubby woman and a chubby guy just dancing on the cover. And I just stared at that cover. It's my favorite comic book cover of all time. Just the motion of these two. They weren't particularly good looking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They looked like real people. And then when I moved to New Mexico, they looked like everybody in New Mexico. Like vaguely Latino, maybe had some American Indian, but they just looked like real people dancing at like a honky tonk bar. And so I bought that, and then I went and got all the back issues, and I take it back. I got number 1 when it came out, but I didn't like it. First 2 issues of Love and Rockets are terrible, and then they caught their stride. But anyway, I got into that, and then I just got into like all of the indie comics through that Love and Rockets. I like Peep Show, which is just like this horrible guy that's just a detestable human being, but it was just he was so horrible, like not a murderer or anything like that, but he was just like, he didn't like people, so he stayed in his room, and he lived in a boarding house, so you shared a bathroom with everybody else, so he would pee in jars, rather than because he didn't want to talk to people in the hall. You know what I mean? And I was like, I was kind of fascinated by how disgusting this guy was. Things like he just died like 2 years ago. I'm trying to think of other Nexus, Mike Barron's Nexus. Chuck Dixon did Airboy. Like I said, all the Eclipse comics, the black and white boom of the 80s. I got into all of that stuff, but I was working at the comic book store, so it was funny because a lot of times I just wouldn't make any money for the week. Like I took literally my whole pay in comics, and he would charge me cost.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome.
My mother was like, "You got to get another job. You're not making any money." I was like, "I'm making money on comics anyway." And I never whole of comics. If I buy a comic, I never get rid of it. Like I don't trade. I don't sell them. Like even if I don't like them, I just put them in there. So I got I'm up to almost 200 long boxes of comics now. Just insane.
I need to get into Love and Rockets. So I never got in. I would see the comics and stuff, but I thought a woman wrote it, and I'm a horrible sexist, so I was like, I don't want to read that one.
It's the Gilbert brothers, and this woman was just on my channel, Carol Lay. She's an older woman. She wrote a comic that I was kind of fascinated with in the 80s called now I can't even think of the name of the comic, but it had this like woman who was raised in Africa, a white woman, and she had those like lip plates and everything, but she was an outcast in Africa because she was a white woman. So then she came back to America, but she was an outcast because she had, wherever she went. And I was just fascinated by so that took a year to get her on my channel because I don't know if she's just shy or whatever. She finally could see this woman like lighten up over the, and then she wrote me a wonderful letter that was so much fun. I enjoyed this. She sent me comics, and then she talked to the publisher from Fantagraphic Books and said, "Go on this guy's channel. Tell everybody at Fantagraphics to go on his channel." That's
Nice.
Love Rockets is Fantagraphics. So I'm like, this is my in to get the Gilbert Brothers on, but come on yet. So, but that's when you asked me earlier, how do you get people on my channel? Once you get like Jim Shooter and Mark Millar on your channel,
you
just message somebody, hey, you want to come on my channel? I like to talk about comic books. Here's a link to my talk with Mark Millar, and they're like, okay, I got to go in this guy's channel now,
and it also doesn't hurt to know and like their stuff. It makes them feel good,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I had it sounds like I'm bragging, and I don't want to brag, but I had J.M.D. Mateus on my channel. I'm a big fan of his works. He did a lot of like, I always call it like spiritual. This like he seems like he's always looking for something, and all of his books kind of like have a longing to them that I really, really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I had him on and you could just see because he just started doing a Kickstarter. He's doing I think he's going to start filling issue 2 of all of his Kickstarters. But for issue number 1, I think he just did it because he was like, I got Kickstarter. I got to get this out here. You know what I mean? So I don't think obviously he didn't know who I was. He didn't want, and you could just see how tense he was. And then he lightened up. And then when we were done, he was like, man, that was enjoyable. He goes, I did about 20 of these. These guys are all stinkers and duds. Don't know comics. And he was like, yeah, he goes, call me anytime you want. I'll come back on. So he came back a second time, but I just like that. Like Carol Leigh, she was just so nervous, it's funny because you could watch the 2 times that I was nervous was the first time I had Mike Barron on because he was like the first legendary figure to come. It's embarrassing. It's like, I feel like deleting it, it's so bad, but that was like, oh, now I had Mike Barron on. Like when I was in college, there was this girl, Jessie. She looked exactly like Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks. Audrey, the one that she tied the knot in the cherry stem. I don't know what it was, but I was just like, I just walked up and asked her out. And she was like, yeah, sure. We had this like on again, off again thing for like a year. After that, I was just like, I just asked out the hottest girl in school. Like, I would just ask out any girl and I'd be like, yeah, so what? Like she said no, but yes, he said yes. Things like so. I had Mike Barron on my channel. I can ask you, come on my channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then watch Steve Rude. That one, I was like, I didn't know what to say. He self admits that he's a difficult person to get along with.
Yeah.
So, and then in the middle of the interview, he was just like, he just got up and walked away, and his daughter jumped in the chair, and he goes, "Yeah, he does this." He just got tired of talking.
Have you seen that documentary of his?
Yeah, Rude Dude. Yeah, he pointed that.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah.
Where can you see that?
I think it's on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. I'll send you a link later.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Like he said some stuff about Mike Barron, and I brought it up about Mike's like, that's just Steve.
Yeah.
He don't mean it. You know what I mean? He can't help it, kind of thing. It's Steve seemed to be very Mike seemed to be very affectionate towards him. So I was like, okay, I'm going to drop this. This is something he doesn't want to talk about. But and now Mike Barron sent me a message. Happy birthday, John. Congratulations. I'm like, I'm on a first name basis with Mike Barron. This is so freaking cool. I never thought when I launched my channel that I would be talking to comic book creators. My dream, what my idea was, like, I started out, I do 10-minute videos, just take a comic book, talk about a comic book that I liked, and I just thought it would be comments back and forth, people in comments, and then I don't know if you know RJ from the Fourth Age. I just started commenting on his videos, and for whatever reason, I still don't understand why he took a liking to me, and he invited me to be his first. He started doing interviews. and I was his first. And it's a good thing it was, because he lost like 3/4 of it because he forgot to hit the button. You know what I mean? So we talked, and it just started a bug. I was like, oh, I'd like to do this. So his second talk was Chuck Dixon. So I had Chuck Dixon. I just said, can I ask Chuck? Like, I asked him permission. He's like, you don't have to ask me permission. Chuck Dixon will go on anybody's channel. You know what I mean? So Chuck Dixon came on, and man, we were like laughing and joking, and it was so much fun. So I was like, all right, look. And then Mike Barron came on for whatever reason. I was like terrifying. I turned into Cindy Brady when the Mike came on. But then I met people like I would get these indie comics. Like, I got really into alternate comics. I'd never heard of alternate comics until like maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I was like, these comics are $1.50 a piece. So I would just get anything. Who cares? Even if it's bad, it's only $1.50. You know what I mean? How many times do you just waste $1.50 on something stupid? But they were good comics. Mm-hmm. And I just went berserk for Wolf and Batsy, Horace H. Hoover, and T-Bird and Throttle, and Blood Realm. So I just reached out to those guys. You want to come on my channel? To the point now, Brian Bow and I talk almost every day, send messages back and forth. He gave me advice, and not edited, but gave me advice on my scripts for my comic, all because of I moved during COVID, and I just wanted to talk to people,
Yeah. The alternate stuff, like, I think I found them probably about the same time, 2 or 3 years ago. But I'm upset that I didn't find out earlier, because some of their earlier stuff looks great and they don't make it anymore.
Right? Yeah. It sells out and it's gone, and a lot of it is he just owns the right to publish it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't own it. So like I'm trying to think of like the T-Bird and Throttle. Mm-hmm. That's Josh Howard's. So Pete Samedi can't republish it.
Yeah.
Because, Josh Howard, he was working in the mainstream comic book store, Josh Howard, and then he was transitioning to crowdfunding, and I think he just thought it would be easier to have Pete publish everything, and he could just draw. And then once he got his feet in the ground, he's like, okay, thank you. They parted amicably,
Yeah.
Now Josh does it all himself, kind of thing. So Pete can't republish T-Bird and Throttle. That's Josh's. And oh my, what a great comic that is. Wolf and Batsy, Brian has his own publishing now. So Pete can't republish that. But if you want those, Brian is going to be republishing them all, because he's almost all sold out.
But, and then that, and I'm trying, like, my next purchase when I get the money is I'm going to go on Amazon and get the Horace H. Hoover stuff. Oh, that looks great.
Fabrizio, he's another one. Fabrizio and Brian and I, we were just talking 2 hours ago. And I'll write a scene for my comic and just send them like a copy, and then Renzo will send me pencils. I'm like, look at, because I want to share it with people. You know what I mean? Look at this. And then same thing. Like Fabrizio is like, hey John, why don't you have Levi, Alternate Tales #1? What story was yours? Do you mean it came out on a Wednesday? Is that the book? Or I didn't know there was a book called Alternate Tales. I thought I had everything by Alterna. Thanks a lot, Levi. Now I got to be up till 2 o'clock in the morning. But like,
wow, 2007. That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember I was in Smithtown, which is not too far from me. It's a huge comic book store called Fourth World Comics, and they had I know I'm going to say the comic wrong, but it was a Mother Russia, I think it was called, and it was on the show. And it was $1.50, and I'm like, what is this? How could this be $1.50? Everything else is like $5. The guy's like, yeah, this company makes, and it's on newsprint. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy this. Who cares? Even if it sucks. And that was the first time I heard of alternate comics. And I've been a fan since. I went on eBay and bought everything that I could. I think the only thing that I'm missing by Alternate Tales now. Thanks a lot, Levi. And a first printing of the chair. I got like a third printer. I'm the inker on the Vampire Story. Kurt Melcher was the comic called Alternate Tales? Now I gotta. Now you're starting something. Gotta look it up. because I know the anthology series it came out on a Wednesday.
I've got a few of those.
Yeah.
He says yes, it was.
Oh, that's it. Okay, good. I got a full run of them then. Good. I didn't know you didn't.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I got King Cryptid. I got the first.
They're good,
4,
aren't they?
and they're excellent, and they feel good. They feel like I remember comics feeling.
They feel like comics should. The coloring looks like comics should.
Yeah.
And when I wanted to do my comic, I reached out to Pete to see if I could be on Alternative because I wanted it to look. Because to me, Alternative comics look the way comics are supposed to look.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't taking submissions at the time.
Yeah.
And so I asked him, "Could you tell me what printer you use?" And he wouldn't tell me.
I was trying to find that out too because I'd love to cut the cost on the books, which mine are pretty cheap, but I mean I would love to even cut it down even more to find out that because I mean that's it seems like it's a pretty guarded secret. But I mean I get it.
I'm not your competition, man. I said first off, I'm shouting your praises from the rooftops. Second off, I ain't your competition. If my 500 print run comic is your competition, you got problems, Pete. But I think he does large print runs. I just keep I think a few comics he did second printings, but for the most part, you could still get the original print runs of most of his comics. I think that's what makes it so cheap, is he does have large printings.
Yeah. They were such a good price. I went ahead and bought, another set of the King Cryptids and gave them away to my barber, so he can put them on his magazine rack for any.
Cool.
And I went and talked to him, a few weeks later, and he said people keep picking them up and looking through them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
the King Cryptid I really like. I took some inspiration because what he does is every issue is a self-contained story in King Cryptid, but they're linked, just like comics used to be. So I was like, that's what I want to do. So my comic is self-contained every issue. Because
I like also that it looks like, he uses a different artist for each story, and each artist fits the tone of the story really well. Is that just really loud, that jet?
No.
Yeah, I can hear it, but it's not really loud.
Okay. In my hair, it's just roaring, but
yeah, he'll put out like 4 comics at a time because he has 4 different artists,
and I like that the next issues that are coming out, which I'm eagerly waiting to get.
Me too,
he has the same artists, and they're working on the same. It looks like the same storylines that they were before. So it's just really, really a cool way to tie them together, but keep each story its individual flavor.
Yeah, he's doing the right thing. We forget he's been making comics for 20 years, Pete.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He always watches any of his streams and come away with some sort of new knowledge or some sort of I gotta look into that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's been a frequent guest on my channel. All the Alterna guys, past and present. I just had because they're doing Blood Moon. It's a crossover between Blood Realm and King Cryptid. So, Keir Covington, the artist, and Ron Geronimo and Pete Orlon. I love talking to Ron Geronimo. That guy is Ron Geronimo is the writer, artist, everything on Blood Realm. But his real job is he's an art professor, art history professor. So I'm a history guy, and I like art. I don't know as much about him, but oh man, I just love talking to him. Fellow New Yorker, not too far from me. So I keep threatening, I'm going to show up at your house one of these days. He makes a nervous look, like.
Better bring some of those cookies.
Yeah, Dio, you're in Ireland or something, aren't you?
I'm sorry.
Aren't you in Europe? Where?
No. I'm in the Europe of America. I'm in Florida. Why
did I think you were in Europe?
I don't know. Maybe the name Dionysius, but I'm down here. Your buddy lives down somewhere, or I guess near to where I'm at in Florida. I think last time we spoke, probably last year, you were talking about you have a buddy that lives down in Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a couple of friends that just couple of retired cops. It seems like that's what you do. You're a cop in New York. You retire. You go to Florida.
100%. And you know, most of the transplants down here are from up north. I mean, I'm originally from Jersey. My mom and my dad were, you know, from New York. So yeah, I mean, Florida's full of Northerners, man. So
yeah.
but yeah, no, not Europe. I'm sticking over here. No flights for me.
Yeah. I don't know. I was talking to Crenshaw before we went live about retiring. I was asking if his state was friendly for not. That's one of my criteria. Does it tax your pension and Social Security? You know, I think there's only 8 states, and Florida is one of them. But I hate the humid weather.
You know, you can move to North Florida. It's not that bad.
Yeah,
But
I'm thinking of Arizona.
oh yeah, well, you know what they say, the dry heat and the wet heat. I mean, it's still heat, but yeah, Florida's not bad, man. It gets a bad rap, but you get used to the humidity. But I'm half Greek, so the humidity doesn't really bother me too much. I got that oily skin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Arizona would be nice. I lived out there for a couple of months before I decided to head out East Coast again. But it was a nice climate over there, man. So yeah, and it's beautiful over there.
I mean, even when I get to the Carolinas, it's too humid, and you know,
that's awesome. Yeah, Florida's definitely not the way to go there, John, for sure.
I like East Texas, like West Texas is a swamp. You know, I went to visited my buddy in Houston, and I was like, oh God, and it was like January, and I was like, oh my God, you know. And then East Texas, you know, I just liked. It was dry. You know, I lived in New Mexico. I lived in Albuquerque for 7 years. It was hot, but all you got to do is sit in the shade and you're fine. You know, without the humidity, I could do. Phoenix, even though it was dry, it's too hot. I mean, when it's 110, there's nothing you could do about it.
I had a good chunk of my childhood down in Phoenix, Mesa. My mom's from the Prescott.
Okay.
So, and with Prescott's really great.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, but I ain't going there in the summer.
Yeah, well, even in the summer, it's not as bad as Phoenix. I can tell you that.
Phoenix is unbearable.
Yeah, we would. You know, when I lived in Phoenix as a kid, it was you run from whatever air conditioned building that you're in into an air conditioned car into another air conditioned building, and that's it. You know,
that's awesome.
They would spend many afternoons in the cheap theater watching their 2-for-1 just to be out of the heat. You know, didn't matter what movie it was.
It's funny because I have to address that my comic Heroic Tales is set near Yuma, Arizona.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's Science City because they wanted to harness the sunshine and everything like that for solar powers. It was supposed to be like this ecological utopia. Of course, it's gone wrong. You know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So I need to stress it's freaking hot.
Yeah.
You know, so
you just got to make sure if you have a news anchor weatherman trying to fry an egg on the sidewalk, because that was a weekly occurrence.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, we're sitting at 48 minutes. I don't know if anyone, you know, if you needed to, what your timeline looked like, John, tonight.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Okay, cool. And we'll just keep going because we're all old guys and we get tired. So
it's Saturday night and I didn't do anything because I knew we were going to talk tonight. So I'm good.
Yeah, I spent a good amount of time last night in the emergency room for my wife's family member, and I spent the whole day just kind of dragging along, which is why I'm drinking coffee now.
Right.
Yeah, hope everybody's okay, man.
Yeah, it was. It turned out all right, but sure, a whole lot of worry going on.
It's a bummer, man.
I managed to avoid hospitals for 55 years, and then last year I spent a lot of time in the hospital.
I was gonna say, how's your neck feeling, man?
My neck is good. It's just achy now.
Especially with that weather up there too, man. That's why you gotta find some place dry and warm when you do retire, so that way you're not dealing with that cold weather snap gets all the bones achy.
My wife slipped in the snow years ago and broke her ankle, and it required surgery to repair because the tendons got all destroyed. Also, like it just really snapped it. so now her foot just aches and gets itchy in the cold, and I'm like, it's gonna happen to me. And now, like, and I'm at work, and I'm just like, it's just a dull ache. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, July 17th, I was at work. I'm a construction worker at the airport, just unbearably hot. And I don't know about you guys, but when it's that hot, I just don't eat. I don't want to eat, you know. And
I never have that problem, but you know,
I normally I take the train, but that day I took my car in because a buddy at work gave me an air conditioner. So I drove to work. It's an hour drive. So I was driving home, and all of a sudden, my blood sugar dropped. I just remember feeling ice cold, and hit a tree and broke my neck.
It's crazy, man. You're lucky, dude. You're lucky.
That's what the doctor said. So that's what he said. So now I'm fine. I never had to get surgery. I didn't get physical therapy, but I have a dull ache when I'm out in the cold. So could be worse. Could be dead. Could be paralyzed.
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
Not yeah, is that
my comic still came out on time. It was free.
Yeah, what was the someone had a question today on X about the is there any, was it Dreams Uncharted maybe? Had the question of, is there any books you wish you could get your money back on that you've backed?
Oh, a lot. I'm not gonna call them out. I don't want to hurt people's feelings or whatever. But there's a couple of books that people recommended, famous YouTubers recommended, and then later on they're like, "Oh, these were crap books. I was just saying they were good." And I'm like, "Oh, great! I'm out $70 because
yeah.
You know, and some books just looked really good. The art was really great, but they're not, not art. I mean, they're not writers. So, so I got a little. I used to say irrationally mad, but I'm not irrationally mad. When a couple of artists were like, "Yeah, writers are a dime a dozen," and then they put out these $35 comic books, and the stories suck. Yeah. So those, I wish I could get my money back, And then another guy, again, I don't want to call out anybody's names, but this is as close to drama as you'll get me to say. Another guy was just like, "Oh yeah, you're saying your books are out on time, but your books look like they're out on time." I was like, "Well, your book was 2 years late, and it still sucks." So is there, what I mean? Like, I don't know. My book I think was pretty good. Did you guys read my comic?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't The Watchmen, but I think it was a good comic.
It's funny. I got the book. I have a slew of books I have to read right now. I've just been having some stuff take up my time. But dude, I can't wait to jump into it. I've already flipped through it.
I read your books. I read your 3 books.
Brother. I trust me. I got it. I'm stoked to read it. I still haven't read the only book I read so far, just because I've had time, and like Levi knows what's going on, but it's been crazy at the house. But I'm stoked to read it, brother. I think the only book I have read was Arvid's book. I mean, it's a pretty quick read.
Bandit Prose was excellent.
But yeah, it was great. It's dude, I love it.
I called it now. It's probably going to be the best crowdfunded book of the year, and it was just a preview.
Exactly, but it was a well done preview, and I mean, just written well, because the dude can write his ass off, and the art was phenomenal. But yeah, the next book on my list is yours, and then after that, I have to read. Not have to read. I want to read Vigilant Fury, which looks great too. I know those boys took their time to redo the book, and the artwork actually looks phenomenal for it. I'm stoked. Listen, I gotta read the book, brother. He's Greek, he's part Greek like me, Greek and Irish. So he's Greek and
you'd like it, although you can't tell, but the patriarch, James Kelly, he's Irish and Italian, and his wife is Greek. And that's actually going to be a big part of the story going forward,
And that, which is great, because my last name's Italian, but I'm Greek and Irish. So yeah, I'm stoked, bro. I want to read some of that old school flair updated for a modern era, and that's what that book looks like to me, dude. I'm stoked for it. So no, yeah, as soon as that went live, man, I jumped on that, bro. I can't wait.
I'm trying to work it in because it's not a monthly book, so like page real estate is a real thing, but I'm trying to, because I dated a Irish. I dated an Irish. I dated a Greek Orthodox girl, and I didn't realize how big of a deal Easter week was.
It's huge.
So I want to incorporate a story where the patriarch is like, my in-laws are coming for Easter. You know what I mean? So like, it's kind of like Spider-Man. Do I fight Dr. Octopus or do I go home? Because like, you know,
Make sure you have the red Easter eggs.
you know what I mean? Like, I think that'll be a fun story, but you know, his religion is going to be a big part of the story. Mary Sue in issue 2, she's a Roman Catholic. I'm, you know, I didn't introduce the character yet, but there's going to be an FBI agent who's Eliason. His father is Orthodox Jewish and wanted him to be a rabbi also. You know, so but instead he's an FBI agent. So I'm trying to. It sounds like I'm being Mr. Diversity, but like when I made these characters, I'm like, this character, like it's like when I said Mary Sue, like, okay, she's Chinese, her family fled because the Roman. They kind of wrote themselves. And William Powers, the FBI agent, I was making this character for my role playing game, and my friend Jimmy just goes, "Yeah, his father's Orthodox Jewish and wanted." He just told me that, like, you know, it wasn't like, okay, and that just became part of the story. So a lot of the stuff is just like, okay, but well, I kind of like it, you know.
I think it's less. It's true diversity though. It's nobody's forcing you to. There's no mandate to fit to meet a quota. You're just. It's the world we live in, bro. You know, and it's so much more natural when it comes, and it's written in a way that's organic with real people as opposed to just, you know, shoehorning in.
Well, like,
you know,
the X-Men used to be. You know,
during and like
150. You know, I remember going like, oh wow, Colossus. I remember Colossus and Nightcrawler having a conversation about Nightcrawler being a Roman Catholic and Colossus being an atheist, but neither one of them were yelling at each other. They were explaining their points of view to each other, you know. And here, and meanwhile, they're in Dante's Inferno, hell, with Doctor Strange. You know what I mean? And there's monsters popping out. I just love that. I thought that was so fascinating. And then Kitty Pryde joins, and at the time there was no other Jewish characters. Like, you know, it was revealed that Ben Grimm was Jewish, but I didn't know as a kid that Ben Grimm was, you know, Jewish. But I love that. And it's funny because I'm wrestling with the idea there's going to be a bad guy called Trauma Queen.
That's a good name.
Trauma Queen is going to be transgender, violent. And I've had this character for like 10 years in my role-playing game, and I'm like, if I put that in the comic, are people going to call me woke? Or are they going to like pitchfork because like I have like a transgender character, basically a maniac, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because
you're balancing on a razor's edge.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to use this character or not. But it was funny. I've been going through all my character sheets for my role-playing games because a lot of the characters in my comics are NPCs for my or player characters for my. So I'm going through their character sheets because I don't know if you know Renowned. They call him Sturgis or whatever, but he does my cards for me. So I've been translating them to little information to send to him so he can make the cards for issue 2. And I've been finding sheets that I'm like, oh my god, this character is so unpolitically correct. I can't put this in a comic book, but it would be fun if I could.
I mean, if it's written, you know, if it's written well, and I'm sure it will be, you know. So I mean, give it a shot, you know. I mean, it's not like you're like you said, it's a character you've had for over 10 years, so it's not, you know, something that just you came up on a whim, you know, recently. So if it played well in your game, then it's probably going to play well with people reading it. So, you know, take a chance.
Are you guys familiar with Perfect 10 by Genuine Comics, Dave Brake?
Yes. Yep.
I love that comic. That to me that's my favorite mainstream. Well, it's not mainstream; it's crowdfunding. But that's my favorite superhero comic book out of that because you can't pick your own. That's just the rule. You know?
Yeah.
And he's doing it. The main character is 10, and 10 is the 10th synthetic human being created by this organization, and she's perfect. They finally got the formula right, and she's you know, whatever. And I've been telling them, I said, I made that character up like 10, 15 years ago, and going through all my sheets, I found the character sheet of 10, and I took a picture of it and sent it to him, and he goes, this is incredible, because it even says Android, you know, with all the power and everything like that. I said, Dave, I've been telling you, that's why I like your comic so much, is me and you are on the same wavelength. Like I got to, because I got like literally buying, like I always joke, remember what's his name? the guy ran for president. I got binders full of women that he's gonna, I always joke, I got binders full of superheroes. I've been going through these binders that I'm not even joking. Some of these binders I haven't opened in 15 years, and they're characters that Dave Brink has in his comic, and they're almost exactly the same. So I'm gonna be taking pictures of them and send it to him. Like, here's the proof that me and you are on the same wavelength.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I heard. I was listening to you talk with
Romney. That's it. Yeah, Mitt Romney. Yes, binders full of women.
I was listening to you talk with what's his name? He does the Argonauts.
Oh yeah, Ashley.
Yeah, and you guys talking about character names and stuff like that, and you both were very in tune with each other on that too.
Right. Yeah. He's into the pulp here, and I'm kind of fascinated with like the origins of superheroes. So for like the past 5 years, I've been reading all the original novels. Like right now, it's kind of a slog. These Doc Savage, talk about a Mary Sue. This guy, everybody else in this book just exists to tell Doc Savage, "You're the coolest," or Doc Savage. But he's like Ray. He pilots the ship. He fights everybody. Everybody else just like, what do I do? But anyway, I'm reading Tarzan, John Carter, and all that stuff, and so is he. So we just had like a great talk, and he has a character called the Raven, and I have a character that's the Batman in my superhero world. So like my friends wanted to make up again, I play a superhero role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons called Village Vigilante. I've been playing it now for like 40 years, and every once in a while they play bad guys, just to get it out of your system. And it's funny because they follow the comic book rules, like they don't just kill the superheroes. They'll detain them and then have to go take care of business elsewhere while the bad, you know what I mean? They play along with that. They're superhero villains. And then there's this guy, the Raven, that always beats them up. He's the Batman guy. And I want to bring him into Heroic Tales, my comic, but I'm like, whatever I put into the comic, it's different. I can make up a character Batman and play in my tabletop with my friends. Who cares? But I can't put Batman in a comic book. So, like, there's a Raven in the Teen Titans. There's I forget. There's another Raven, and then the final straw was Ashley has a Raven, but he kind of looks like an aviator character.
Yeah,
he's got a gun and everything. So I changed my character. I actually had Renzo make like a poster of my new character. I had it colored. So I put some money into, I had a logo made up for him and everything. And then it just didn't feel right. As much as I like this new character now, I'm going to use this new character down the line for something else. Like he'll probably fight the Raven. But it just didn't feel right. And then Oscar was like, just go back with the Raven. He was cool. So I'm back with the, so he'll be debuting in issue 3. And I think I'm going to make a Raven card for issue 2, just as like a teaser, if so for my camp. So if I could promote myself a bit, Heroic Tales number 2 is probably going to be launching in February. Things were going slow, and all of a sudden they're going fast.
Awesome. Yeah.
To the point where like, I'm so glad I'm off for 4 weeks because I got to finish a script for something else. I've been preparing the cards so that they can get made. Renzo said he'll have the full comic done by the end of February. So I'm like, oh my God, that means I got to do rewrites. I got to get lettered and everything like that. Got to get the pre-press done. At the same time, I'm building the campaign page. But anyway, for every $1,000, I'm going to unlock a card. And I have 16 cards because there's 16 characters that I'm introducing in this issue. Most of them are just like, in The Watchmen, when he was watching all the TVs, one of the guys is making a point about superheroes, and each TV screen has a different superhero face. So, who are they? Well, the more comics I sell, you'll get a card, and you'll see that's the guy on this screen. That's the guy on this screen. So, things like that. And then I think if I hit like the ultimate stretch goal, I'll have a card made for the Raven, just because he's just too cool looking.
Yeah, I'm I definitely want to get Heroic Tales 2.
Thank you.
Unfortunately could only get the digital. I think on the issue 2, I'm going to do a catch up and grab the physical for issue 1 as well.
I'm going to do that. I don't want to move my camera because it's broken, but I got a spinner rack here full of Heroic Tales
Yeah.
1. I got a long box over there. So I still got, I overprinted on purpose because a lot of people blatantly said, I'm not buying your comic until you prove that you actually come out with a comic. It's your first campaign. And I don't blame them. You know, unfortunately, a lot of other people's behavior has made people a little bit wary about new people. And I don't blame them. So, you know, now that I actually proved myself, came out with a comic pretty much on time, people seem to like it. There's people like, I was going to buy your comic now, but now I'm going to wait for your second issue campaign, which is fine. But you know what? I was dragging my heels about digital comic.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That's like the best deal for me because all I got to do is send you a file. Like, you buy my comic, I got to pay postage. I had to print that comic. I got to go to the post office. I got to mail it. You know what I mean? Like, digital file. It's thanks a lot, Crenshaw. You know, it's like at this point, it's just this sounds tacky, but it's like free money at this point. You know.
Yeah.
So,
you know, and you know, I know we're.
I apologize for just getting digital. That's fine with me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm apologizing to myself because you know I'd rather hold the book, but the you know, and I know we're probably all like that. You want to hold that book, but
people send me digital files because like, can I come on your channel? Here's a digital file. Like, I'll just scroll through it, but I can't read a comic book on a screen.
Here's my problem with them is that I've realized this recently. I forget that I downloaded them. You know, if I get a comic, you know, in the mail, it goes on my bedside table until I read it. It's there. It's in my vision. The other ones are they're just a file somewhere, and every once in a while I'll be scrolling through trying to find something else and go, oh yeah, I got that comic to read. You know.
Yeah, that's what I want to do is take out my phone and read a comic book on this.
Yeah.
You know, I want a physical comic in my hand. You know, I'll lean back and I'll have the comic here. You know what I mean? Just I'm an old fogey. That's what I want. Like a lot of people, if you buy their physical comics, they just give you a PDF free.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ashley, he sent me the PDF for his comic. You know, he's going to be mailing it any day now. But I got the PDF like 2-3 months ago. He sent me the email. I never even clicked on it and downloaded it. You know, because I want to read the comic. I don't want to read the PDF. You know.
I got a big old iPad that I read on, so it's a good size, and I enjoy, you know, but it's not the same.
I don't know. Like, I do like the idea of like all comic books digitalized, like as like a means of like historical references. Like somebody's into comics, they could read an actual copy of Amazing Fantasy 15, see the letters page, you know, see the ads, you know, because when you reprint that stuff, to me, whenever you reprint old comics, the coloring looks off. I don't know if it's they recolor it with digital or if the paper's different. I don't know, but it doesn't look right. They never include the ads. You know, when you get a trade paperback of the first 10 issues of Spider-Man, you know, all that Stan soapbox and the bulletins and all that, the ads, the bicycle ads. I love all the rifle ads that used to be in the old comics. You don't see that stuff anymore. So I do like the idea of this PDF, like a Gutenberg press for comics, so you can read what I consider American history. You know, important American history.
For sure.
I think another thing that the ads did was they were good for pacing. You know, you're reading along, you flip the ad page, and then you got the big splash. You know.
Yeah. Kelsey Shannon and I were talking about that when before he went dormant and left the internet. We used to do a show, Two Beards, One Comic, and we were talking about Adam Warlock's the Jim Starlin autumn, and he was just like, you know, he was reading it from a trade paperback, and I was reading it from the actual comic. And he was getting mad because I would flip the page, like there would be a big reveal. Adam Warlock would be like, "You," and then you'd have to flip the page, and then there's a Bubble Yum ad. You know, then over here is, you know, like, you know, whatever, you know, grit. and then you flip it over. But for him, it was on this page, and then you just look at the next page.
Yeah.
You know, there was no page flip suspension.
That's funny.
You know what I mean? Because it was printed without the ad, so that messed up. You know, when I keep saying Adam Warlock like he wrote his own comic, but when Jim Starlin wrote those comics, he was aware of, you know, you're gonna flip the page, you know, things like that. So trade paperbacks actually mess up the pacing of comics.
Yeah, you know, and you know, it was like your book and other Dio's book. You know, you guys have your pacing set out because you don't have to worry about that, right? But when if they were to suddenly throw in ads, if you know for whatever reason your comics got printed by someone else and they throw in ads, it would mess up your pay. You know, so taking them out does the same thing.
Well, I plan like somewhere like around 6 issues to make like a trade.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to take the comic and put it with the next comic because I put fake ads in, you know, in my comic. So I don't think it'll. I don't know. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe there's something I don't understand. But I think it's just going to be this issue on top of this issue on top. So there's nothing to be removed, is what I'm saying. There's going to be no, you know, Levi Jean ads that need to be removed. You know, everything is mine, so I could put it in there. So and I'm already planning. There's going to be an issue coming up. I hope I get to it. I think it's going to be 4 or 5. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I already know like this has to be the page break. Like I've been awesome. Picturing it. You know. Right, Levi's got a question. You posted a sexy shot by Renzo this week. What rating would you? I still say it's all ages because they don't show anything. Actually, the original drawing I had to tell Renzo tone it down. But I'll bring it up if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I got to bring up Twitter.
Levi and JD Gunter have a comic coming out that's in that same realm of just like the old school superheroes, but for a modern audience, with you know still the old school sensibilities, and it looks like it's gonna be awesome, man. Galaxy Memorial Park. I'm actually working on a short story stint in their book. I'm having a blast with the characters they wrote. So yeah, it's just I'm stoked for that vibe coming back, man. Yeah, that's a great page, dude.
So this is the opening page for issue 2. I still think this is not bad. I mean, we forget in the 80s, Nightwing was in bed with Starfire, and they showed, you know, kind of this. There was a lot of that famous Mary Jane takes her clothes off and walks into the shower, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is bad. Plus, they're a married couple. They already have 7 kids, and I'm setting up that they are happily married. They love each other. They still want to be with each other. You know, like this isn't the way modern comics have married families where the wife is a shrew and the husband's incompetent, you know, or the husband's secretly sleeping with other. His best day is home on the farm, and the kids have a running Dungeons and Dragons game going, and they have like a table set up, and like we could, and I call it Dungeon Crawl because I can't say Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe I can, I don't know, but just to be we're gonna play Dungeon Crawl, and they run it and they all play. You know what I mean? That's what he wants to do because, you know, he was a nerd before he ever got superpowers, and now he's got 7.
And it's not.
What's that?
And the picture is not particularly salacious. It's not like you know.
This is just I wanted to show you that they're a happily married family. You know, and the dialogue might even make because they have sexy nicknames for each other that the kids don't know whenever the kids aren't around. Like she calls him Pickle and he calls her Onion. Maybe you could figure out why, you know what I mean? But when the kids are around, they don't say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because they are lovers. You know, they admire each other. They couldn't be doing what they do without each other. I have this like sweet scene that's probably not going to be in this, definitely not going to be in this issue because Renzo's already drawing it. But like he enjoys being with the kids. And the thing is, she knows she's married to a superhero. Like, I don't think I'm spoiling it too much, but right now they're talking in bed,
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of pillow talk, but a little bit like, what do you want to do for the day? And he's just like, oh man, like I want to let the kids have dungeon crawl set up. I want to come up. We'll play dungeon crawl, but first we have to do the chores. We got to go milk the cow and blah blah blah. And she's like, "Oh, great." She goes, "Let me take a shower." So the next page is gonna be her talking to him from the shower. Like, this is what we're gonna do today, and this will be so good. Maybe we'll go and go to the store or whatever. And then you see him. He's watching the news, and he just has a face on. And then she's like, "Honey, can you hand me a towel?" And then she's going to walk out. There's going to be steam, so you're not going to see. And the window's going to be open, and you're going to see him flying away because he's a superhero. And then the story, that's every day in their house. You know what I mean? Like, every day they make plans, and every day he breaks them. But every day he comes home, and every day she's like, it's not like, oh, we had plans and you broke them. Let's put it this way. She's not Mary Jane from the movies. She's Mary Jane from the comics. That understood Peter Parker was a superhero, So that's what I want to show, that they're a good, happy couple,
healthy family.
Yeah,
that's a pet peeve of mine in a lot of movies and TV shows, is when you got the guy, he's got a very, he's a cop or a detective or whatever, and there's always that scene where the wife's like mad that he's going to go do his job. It's like, you married the guy.
Well, she may be disappointed. Like, she's definitely disappointed when she walks out of the shower and he's flying away.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't want to spoil what he's going to do. But what is he not going to save people?
Yeah, it'd be like you're marry an ER doctor and he's on call. Well,
exactly.
They got married before he got the powers. I'm gonna issue 3 is gonna have his origin. You're gonna see she was a nurse and he was an EMT. That's how they met. So they were like heroic people before they even got powers. Hey, thank you, Levi. I love Heroic Tales, John. Thank you so much. Thank you. So they were good. They were heroes. Like, I know this is controversial, but Peter Parker wasn't a hero before he was Spider-Man. Peter Parker was like on his way to being a school shooter before he became Spider-Man. But like, well, maybe not even Reed Richards. He was kind of nasty in his first couple appearances. But Steve Rogers was a hero before he got the powers. You know what I mean? So like, I just want them to show that he would be a good guy. You're going to see when he doesn't have his powers, he is like almost naively good, to the point he was blind to the evil of a couple of people that were really close to him, because he trusted them. He's kind of, I'm saying this story set in 2024, but every once in a while I want to go back to the past, and you're going to see when he was young and naive, he kind of effed up a little bit, got taken advantage of by other people. Toxic masculinity sucks. Toxic masculinity is Neil Gaiman. That's toxic masculinity. Firefighters and army men and real cops, not corrupt cops. I can't stand corrupt cops, just like I can't stand like bad superheroes like Omni-Man. But like, the world needs masculinity, and that's why I made the patriarch. I was like, he's everything masculine. He hunts. If you read the issue, sorry, Dio, he hunts. In that issue.
I'm covering my ears.
Yeah. One guy said, I can't believe you showed him hunting in an all ages Blue Sky comic. I was like, why? What's wrong with hunting?
Where do you think your food comes from?
Yeah,
if it's not hunted, it's farm raised.
A hamburger and a comic book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny.
Whatever,
So with your what you just said about Omni-Man and the kind of the dark take on superheroes, how against that are you? Like, what's the
I said Omni-Man because it popped into my head, but Omni-Man doesn't really bother me because that's his own creation. You know what I mean? Why can't I think of his name? Robert Kirkman. He created Omni-Man with his purpose to be a deceitful guy. I don't want to spoil it if anybody's hasn't read the Invincible comics, but that's fine. What I don't like is like, let's deconstruct that. Like, I still don't like the Dark Knight Returns when Superman was the stooge of the government, you know, and
Mhm.
that wasn't Superman. And Frank Miller, you didn't create Superman, so that always bothered me. But like,
Yeah.
you know, Ozymandias being the secret bad guy in the Watchmen, that's fine.
Mhm.
Alan Moore made that. That's his character. But I don't like that. What's his name? Nick Spencer says that Captain America always was a Nazi. You know,
Yeah.
F you. You're not Jack Kirby. You're not Stan Lee. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That's
Mhm.
you're just doing a stunt. You know, ta-da! Look at this. You know, you're like a little kid. Look how fast I'm running. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's not your. Those aren't your toys. You know, we all had that kid in the neighborhood that took your Mego action figures and started smashing them and throw them on the ground and scraping the paint and like, I broke your toy. And then goes home. You're like, and then you find out like all his toys are fine. He just, you
Yeah.
know, that's how I think of all these modern writers. You're breaking other people's toys.
I'm gonna address a couple of things right here.
Yeah.
One, Levi Skeen. If Dio says Levi, he may be talking about me. My real name is Levi, so don't get confused because I get confused every time I see your name pop up on a stream. But the second, Dio's doing great work. Dio's
Yeah.
doing a little work for him on his comic Galaxy Memorial Park. Is that what
Yep,
it is?
yeah, Galaxy Memorial Park. Yep, for sure. I'm
That's
having
your
a blast,
book?
man. It's Levi Skeen's book. Levi Skeen and JD Gunther. They're writing and doing art duties, and Levi's doing the art duties, I think, on the first issue. And it
It's
looks
the first
great,
time
dude.
hearing it. Levi Skeen, send me a link or something. You know, let me check it out. Come on my channel, talk about it. I'd never heard about it. As much as I'm interested in this, I still things. I didn't even back Reaper Destroyer. I thought I did. I just got in at the last moment. Yeah, this and by the way, I got to say, Tomb of Reckoning is a great comic too. I love the
Oh,
cover.
thanks, man. I appreciate that, brother.
The covers are works of art. That like you should just make prints of all three of your covers, and you know.
Oh, for sure. I know Ed Herrera, the guy who did the covers. He's actually gonna be doing an art book, I think, sometime soon. So I'll make sure that I promote that because his stuff's awesome, dude. I love his work.
This is a great point. I prefer physical, but shipping costs limit how many books I can back. Reading digital comics on my Kobo Color e-reader works pretty well, though. The screen looks like newsprint. Yeah. Ashley from Ashley's Argonauts was the one who convinced me to put out a PDF. I was originally like, no, I make comic books. I don't make computer files. And he said, I live in Ireland. I can't spend $40 shipping for a comic.
Yeah.
And
that shipping's a killer, man, especially overseas. The second book I just did local because the shipping usually comes out of my pocket, and it just was way too much, dude. It was insane.
Yeah, I got to say, Canada was the worst. Anything that went to Canada, I made no money on.
Yeah, it's insane. And why can't I can't figure that out either. They're our northern neighbors. I don't know why it's so much. It's insane.
So you know what? Make it a state. Make it a state so I can ship you guys comics.
That's awesome.
You know, I got a friend who's just like I don't back any comics because the shipping. He lives in Canada. He's like I just can't do it. Don't hate me. I was like, well, then you could buy my PDF. Don't make excuses. You didn't even buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, I think that's a great reason to do the PDF. And you know, and it's also there's a lot of comic readers out there nowadays who don't have you know that fondness that we have for that tactile.
Right. A lot of younger guys, they don't even have physical comics.
No,
you know?
yeah, which you know, and I want as many people to read it as possible. So,
and a couple of guys said that you know they bought the PDF, they're gonna wait, you know, till issue 5, and then buy all 5 comics. You know what I mean? Because that way the shipping is reasonable, and I get that.
That makes sense.
But it's supporting me along the way because, like I said, I hate to turn it into just a business, but you got to be realistic. If you buy my PDF, I make more money off of that than if you buy my comic. You know, because I'm not shipping it to you. I didn't have to print anything. So I'm like, you know, now I see people buying a PDF. I'm like, yeah. You know?
Do either of you guys plan on putting your stuff on like Global Comics, that type of thing?
I do,
What I would like to do is like when I get like 6 issues done.
Yeah.
I was gonna go with Diamond and try to get my comic in regular comic stores, you know, and that way I could. maybe I'll say it's bi-monthly or monthly or whatever for 6 months, and then try to do that, or maybe go to Image Comics, because at that point it's pure profit at that point. I you know what I mean, because it's already I already paid for it in the crowdfunding, but Global Comics, that's another one. I actually talked to the one of the women that run Global Comics at New York Comic Con, and she gave me a card and everything. That's something I'm thinking of. There's also like a print on demand service. Like I got to keep everything. Like I was dead set against all of that stuff when I started, but now I see Diamond's closing. Nobody's buying comics. Nope.
Yeah.
Everybody I talk to, nobody goes to comic stores anymore. So I don't know. So things are changing. So I got to keep an open mind. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that I don't get a lot of time to get onto Global Comics, but like Fiendish, Rainy Draw's book, I was hesitant about wanting to back that and buy it, but I looked at the preview pages of that, and it's beautiful.
Oh, it's great. Fiendish is
And
absolutely
so
great.
like I'm definitely now I'm on track to want to get that one as well. So I that kind of thing where getting someone's eyes on it through that little preview is a great thing.
Yeah. It's funny because I listen to Pandora at work.
Mm-hmm.
You put on a station, and then after a while, it starts to drift, and you're like, what is this? What is? And everyone's like, this is good. And then I scroll back. I'm like, oh, that was the song. This is in the past 2 years, I bought more physical records and CD. Well, not CDs. I've been buying vinyl.
Yeah.
Because of Pandora, because of getting it for free.
Mm-hmm.
I never believed that actually worked. I remember Stephen King put out a book. It said, "Pay me what you want."
Oh, yeah.
So if 30,000 people sent him $1, he said he made more money than he did through regular publishing. I was like, who's going to do this? But people do that. Yeah. I'm proof positive. I listened to Free Pandora, and now I'm buying records.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Do you remember the stories about the restaurants that tried that out? There's like a few restaurants, maybe
pay what
there's
you
one
want,
like Seattle, but like come in and pay what you want, kind of thing, and
close down.
Yeah, real quick. Really quick, close down.
Yeah,
I think
I know one's still open because John Bon Jovi opened. He pays.
Yeah.
But
But like food is a different thing than a comic. People who go for a comic love comics. People who are going to go into a restaurant are just every people.
Well, you got to eat.
Yeah.
You got to eat. So like, all right, I'll go get a steak and pay $3.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw a video on YouTube about Pizza Hut opening up restaurants in China, and they had a buffet plate. How you had the salad bar, and they said you could fill up the plate as high as you wanted. But these people got so crazy with it that they actually had engineers try to figure out ways to make the plates piled so high that they went out of business within, I think, like a year. But you got to look up the video because it's hilarious. There's like schematics on where to put the pickles, to where to put this, to fill up your plate, and they would just clean out these salad bars within like an hour or two by doing these crazy like towers of food on their plates. So yeah, that's a trip, man. If you can get it free, people will find a way to get as much as they possibly can.
Yeah,
the people bringing their igloo coolers when they have the icy slushy things.
Container.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. It's so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah, I remember that my friends took me to a Korean hot pot. I used to live in Flushing, and it's all Asian food there. So what you get is like a big metal pot of broth, and you like whatever tonkatsu, you can get like chicken, and then you just go up and you could take whatever you want, but it's $36. You know what I mean? So it ain't cheap. So you're like, I'm paying $36 for a bowl of soup, but no, you could get dumplings, you could get this, but they also have lobsters, and it's funny because there's a guy who stands and he puts the lobster on your plate, and you get one. That must have been like people just whatever. But I was like, even when I was taking stuff, I was like, I'm not gonna eat all this. I had this like, I can't just take all these dumplings. I'm not going to eat all these dumplings. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'll get up and get more if I'm still hungry. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
But people do that. People just like hoard it all with food anyway.
With every, I mean, look, when there's storms down here, I'm sure the same up north when there's a snowstorm or something. People just get crazy and buy all the milk and all the toilet. It's like, dude, how much milk do you need to drink, and how much are you going to wipe your ass in like the span of like 3 days? Leave some for everybody else.
No.
That's human nature on a grand scale is just selfishness.
I mean, I'm a shit hoarder as far as like I got board games and comic books and stuff like that. But like I've never ran down to the store. Oh my God, we got to get the toilet paper. We got to get the bread. We got to get the milk.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's funny because when I lived in Flushing, Queens, it's all liberal Democrat, and I'm a gun guy. So I was just like, I don't have to do anything. All my neighbors are stocking up for me because I'm the only guy here with the redneck disability. Now out here, I'm probably the least redneck sensibility guy.
They're coming to your house to play games if stuff hits the fan.
Yeah, the thing that stops me from I got to go get toilet paper and stuff is driving to the store and seeing the parking lot.
Oh yeah.
I'll figure something else.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. A makeshift bidet.
Yeah. Just to completely shift gears, bidet thing. Have you guys ever tried a bidet?
Yeah.
Funny, I was going to bring it up, but I didn't know where we were going to go. But my foreman at work, we were talking about just that because we were threatening a snowstorm.
Yeah.
And I was joking around. Got to go get all the toilet paper, and he goes, "I don't need one." And he sent me the link on Amazon. It's you take your old toilet seat off and you put this new toilet seat on, and it's an electric toilet seat. You plug it in and then you hook the water in, and it's a bidet. The seat is electric, and then when it does it like air to dry everything. And he goes, "John, it is the best." He goes, "You don't need toilet paper." And he said he bought it during COVID when all the stores were going out. He goes, "It was $120." He goes, "Now it's $400." I'm like, I can't spend $400 on a toilet seat, but I'm tempted. But no, to answer your question, I've never used a bidet. I don't think it would be comfortable. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the greatest thing in the world, but I don't know.
I'm up in Sun Valley, which is a town about 2 hours from here. Very, very rich area. You got your Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
really?
Oprah. Like they all have places up there. And I have a job I'm doing up there, and go up for a few days a week. And they have one of their bathrooms that they're not touching. They're not going to remodel it or anything. So we get to use that. And it's got apparently the toilet, it was like $4,000 toilet.
Wow.
With remote control, heated seat, all it's just amazing.
Remote control. Yeah.
Was it the Japanese one?
Maybe, I do not know, but it was when they finally got the batteries into the remote control, the guy, the builder comes in, he says, "You guys got to try it. You got to try it." He said, "The greatest thing ever." So I tried it. I do not like it.
Yeah,
I do not like it. It had the fan as well to kind of dry you off, and I push it. It's just your booty air. It's just blowing your booty air all through the like. It's disgusting. It's the but I didn't like it. Not my thing.
Yeah, we had a bidet in this place I lived in Baltimore, but just like comics, I prefer the old school paper route of doing things. So yeah, same here, man.
Where was I that they had the Asian style? It's just a hole in the ground and like
oh yeah.
You feel like Charlton Heston. It's a madhouse.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of the guys I work with insisted that I enjoyed the bidet too much. He kept ribbing me and making jokes about it and stuff, and saying, "Oh, I think you found your new girlfriend or whatever." And so I came up with a little line. It's you know what? It's not gay if it's bidet.
I don't know. I never tried it, but I am tempted. It's funny because I just looked at the link that he sent me, but it's $400. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. And you fly out here and come visit me on the job. Well, let you use a real fancy one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, $407.
Just buy a garden hose.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That was a very pleasant turn from comic books. So also, like we were talking about before starting, you're into the punk rock scene, John. You're like, right in the heart of it when you were growing up, when you were a kid.
Funny, when I was a kid, I wished I was 5 years younger, and then I'm talking like Fabrizio Aiello, who does Horace H. Hoover, and he's like, oh man, I wish I was your age. I would have seen all the good. So I guess the grass is always greener, but I still like punk. It's funny because I got into like I got away from punk for a while, and I've been rediscovering it. Like I don't know what happened, but about 4 months ago, I just started listening to the Bad Brains again. I don't know if you're familiar with that band, but oh my god, somebody asked me, because what would you think is the best hardcore band? And I said the Bad Brains. They just, I don't know. I think they're just the most interesting music out of all of the rest. It's just fast 3-chord punk. But the Bad Brains, they do nice change ups, and it's just weird. I just love it. And the singing, this HR, the singer, just has such a different, unique voice. But so I got re into it, and then it's funny because just last night, my friend Jimmy sends me a picture. He lives in San Diego, and this is he and his wife and Greg Ginn from Black Flag.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know how he does it, but you know how I always end up talking to comic book people. He always ends up talking to punk rock people. And he and his wife still going to punk rock shows. He's like, yeah, Black Flag was playing down the block from us. We went down there, and Greg Ginn was just hanging out the bar. And just like I'll talk to anybody, my friend Jimmy is, even more outgoing. He'll just talk to anybody about anything. And next thing you know, he's taking pictures of Greg Ginn. He's like, all right, take a picture. I want to send it to my friend John. I was originally going to do a music channel, but I decided to comic books instead. And then for a little while, I did Music Mondays. On Monday, I made videos about music. But I
kind of want to open up, not just talk about the comics on this, because I joked with Dio before, like, the thing that drives apparently everything nowadays is content. It's content. And if there's a way to get the content hungry masses to hear something that's, music or movie, something else they're interested in, maybe that'll get them into comics too. Maybe they'll listen to the rest of it.
You're right. And I'm doing YouTube wrong because I was reading like YouTube likes it if you make like one video a day, 10 minutes. But now they even change it to like shorts. You know, I guess they're trying to copy TikTok or Twitter or whatever. I don't know. But I'd never been on TikTok. I don't know. But so I'm doing it wrong because I do hour-long live, and they don't. I don't know. I guess they don't like live because they don't do commercials on it.
Yeah.
While right now, there's no commercials. There'll be commercials later on if you whatever. But I don't know. So I noticed that I was growing really quick, and then maybe I'll get like 1 or 2 subscribers a week now for the past couple of months. But at one point, I was getting like 80 subscribers a week, and now I'm like flatlining. So maybe I should go back to 10-minute videos and talk about music some days.
What was that, Dio?
I was saying that algorithm. It's a fickle thing.
Yeah, I told myself I was never going to chase the algorithm, and then I realized I don't even know how if I wanted to. So I'm just doing what I want to do,
which I think is important too.
I also don't want to be a drama farmer. Like I was kind of joking around with Vaughn Coleman. I was like, "How about you be my enemy and me talk about each other?" And then I was like, I don't even want to do that to be funny.
Yeah. It adds fuel to that fire.
It'll turn real sooner or later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily for me, man, I don't see any of it. anymore. I've for a long time I have all that stuff muted and just yeah, I don't see any of that drama, which is nice because it's not. I got enough real life drama that I don't need all this comic book, BS.
On New Year's Day, I just tweeted, "It's a new year. How about we just stop drama farming?" I said that on Twitter, not realizing that was like fly paper, and a whole bunch of people just started making fun of me and whatever. I got one of the big wigs say, and I was like, "Oh, I've never muted anybody. I don't block anybody."
Yeah, neither do I.
You, and I notice Twitter's not bad.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
I muted like 7 people, and every once in a while, like I'm just gonna say, like Crenshaw will comment on it, and I'll see like a response. This didn't happen, but I'm just using an example, and then I'll see that somebody responded to what Crenshaw says. This is from somebody that you muted, and I'm human. I'm like, who was that? And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. I forgot about it. But I got to say, it's getting less and less because, on Twitter, these people just want a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care what that reaction is. And then I don't know, either they feel powerful or it's something that they could clip and talk about on their channel. I don't know what it was. But if you give them no reaction, they leave you alone.
One of the more interesting ones.
What's that?
One of the more interesting ones that just happened recently was the Chuck Dixon thing. Like, people started talking about Chuck Dixon's doing an AI comic. Chuck Dixon there was no responses. There was no nothing. It died in 3 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, Chuck Dixon didn't know he was making an AI comic.
He
sold the script to somebody. Somebody hired him to write a script, and then he found out afterwards. So,
but it's just it's just that thing of people jumped on it real quick because they were all fired up about something, and then it just fizzled out.
Right. Yeah. I would get DMs from people, "You suck," but I always.
I told you I'm sorry about that, man. It was to the wrong person.
Yeah, okay. But I'm friendly with one of the guys, and he fights with everybody. And I a few times I was just like, "I'm not your boss. I'm nobody," but you're like a dancing puppet. They're pulling your strings, and they're clipping you, and they're making fun of you, and then just effing ignore them. Just ignore them, and it'll take like a month, and they'll. It will be as if you never existed. So part of me is just like, you must like this,
Oh, for sure. I think people, and that's their thing. I'm not judging, but I think there are people that love that conflict, man. But I've never been one of those guys myself to, online stuff, whatever. It's sticks and stones, blah 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 blah. It's real life stuff that'll get my blood flowing. but
I gotta
stuff,
say,
yeah.
Do you guys remember the Newsarama?
Yeah.
Yeah. The DC used to have message boards, like, the Superman message board, the Batman message board, whatever. And then there was Newsarama that had message boards and everything like that. I still have a forum message board, the villainsvigilantesforum.com, if you want to go there and check it out. But I used to fight with people and I loved it. And I freaking loved it. I used to oh my God, fight with people about Captain Marvel of all things. Just, check it. I'm at work, check it to see if this person responded. And then I remember it was funny because I was working next to me was a guy spackling the walls, and he just turned to me and he started talking about this guy fights politics with people. And he was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it because I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning. I have to wake up at 5 o'clock to work, and I stayed up on talking politics. And I just said, dude, do you hear yourself? It's not worth it. Go to sleep and forget these people. And then I realized I'm going to take my own advice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So believe me, I'm going to say from 1995 to 2008, I fought with everybody. At one point, I had a Wikipedia page that somebody made about what an asshole I was. If anybody, I don't know if Newsarama still exists someplace in Cachet, but if you look up Food Eater Lad, that was my newsarama. I was like the lone conservative, so I was bad for that. My comic book opinions were wrong, and there was like a couple of guys just made up stories about me, and then anytime I said anything, they would bring up these made up stories, and I was like, "That's not true," blah blah. And that's when I realized that once you're defending yourself, you lost.
Yeah.
Because all you do is giving them a chance to repeat these, so, you know, and then thankfully Newsarama went belly up. So like it was taken away from me, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
now okay. So I don't
Periodically, I'll get a, the urge to comment on something somewhere, and I'll write the whole thing out, and then there's that brief second of like, do I actually care? Do I?
a few
I'll
times
just,
I posted something and then deleted it. I'm like,
mm-hmm.
but like, I know it's. I've been trying to get Wendy Peeney to come on my channel. There's no way in hell she's coming on. Facebook friends with her, and she's been like, the past 5 days, the political climate's been, oh my god. So I just said, in the past 5 days, I said we had a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Hostages have been released. This talks about the Ukraine-Russian ceasefire. I said Trump found millions of dollars for FEMA to help house all these people in North Carolina. I said, things are great. I don't know what you're complaining about. So I said, it's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, I wish we went back to the old school days, especially like, the creators and whatnot of just, you don't talk religion, politics, or salary,
Right.
And it just would be so much easier. Cause I mean, it does. And somebody having a different viewpoint than I have doesn't kill anything for me, but just the constant, whining that people just do nowadays. It's like, oh my God. And ElfQuest is awesome. I was just talking about that yesterday. I wish I had all my, my trades still. But yeah, it's a bummer. We all can't just,
right.
I'm sure it'll calm down
I like you said, I can get along with anybody, whatever their politics is, but like, it's the righteousness and the zealousness that
gets it. And just the continual, oh my, it's too much, man. Like I want escapism.
Yeah. Enough,
Yep.
Yeah, my partner at work is I love him. He's like my best friend as well. But every day you don't need to send me the YouTube video. Of whatever's going on in the realm of politics. That
awesome.
we might share a lot of the same things, but I don't want to watch that. It's
at
an hour long.
12:03 on the 20th. Trump got inaugurated, so it's 12:03. This guy's been the president for 3 minutes, and my brother sends me a meme of Trump wants to invade Greenland, but it's too cold to be inaugurated outside. And I was just like, is this the way it's going to be for 4 years? Like,
yes.
The guy's been president for 3 minutes, and I'm already, he's inside because they can't secure the area. They tried to assassinate the guy twice. So they're in a place where they can actually control the environment. And he doesn't want to invade Greenland. I mean, this 900 lies in this one meme that you sent me 3 minutes after the guy's been president. Can we tone it down a bit? For 4 years, I didn't send you any memes about Biden, and I wanted to.
That's awesome. That's so fun.
It's even the stuff that I agree with, though. At some point,
it's enough.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Like guys at work, like, did you watch his speech? I'm like, no. Like, what do you mean? You voted for the guy. It's like, I'd never watch these guys' speeches. I don't care. What I want them to do is to do the right thing, and then my life improves. Like, I don't want to watch. I want politics to be invisible. For the past 4 years, politics wasn't invisible. Maybe now it could be invisible again.
Yeah.
And all I care about is abolishing the IRS. Just abolish the IRS. Let me keep 65% more of my money, because that's how much we spend in taxes.
And I hopefully they get around to doing that soon, because I'm still paying on last year's, and I'd like to just cut that out.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think no matter what side of the political aisle you're on, I think we can all agree, get rid of the IRS.
Well, you know what? I already tell you right now, I'm going to be an asshole. If he does get rid of the IRS, I'm going to tell all the Democrat guys that I work with, you could still send a check to the government.
Yeah.
you could still, they'll take it and cash it, because Trump is a Nazi, and you don't want to follow the Nazi way. So for 2 reasons, I want to keep my money, and I want to be a jerk. When I told you I used to love to fight, but I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it in comic book worlds. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, I don't care what this guy, like, I don't care about this, what Eric July is doing. I don't care what Cyberfrog is doing. Why? Oh, why is this important to anybody? You know, like, do you think Burger King fights with McDonald's this much? I just you like their comics, great. You like their comics, great. You like both their comics, great. I don't like either of their comics. You know, there's all four sides of the coin. Let's all get along.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other comics out there, comic makers that are making really, really good stuff.
Right.
And not only, and you can,
positive.
Yeah, they're positive.
Exactly.
They're on X, and they're entertaining my stupid comments and stuff. It's great, It's like,
I just don't understand. Like,
yeah. Well, I don't know.
Like, is it like, I don't know. Maybe it is engagement. Maybe I'm silly for not being dropped, but whatever. I got a full-time job that pays the bills. I don't need to get super chats from strangers to fund my lifestyle.
I don't think I don't think I have it in me to be that,
right. To be Morton. Oh, I was about to say Morton Downey Jr. Is that a dated reference? Does anybody know?
I used to love Morton Downey Jr. Man, it was a great show, dude. Yeah.
But like it would just take it would take the
I couldn't live with myself.
Yeah, and the energy it takes to I don't know, put on that act.
Yeah,
and for me, like I don't hate the game. Like, look, if that's how you're making money, that's awesome. That's great. It's just not for me. Meaning like I just don't want to partake in it. You know what I mean? And like, if you are making money doing that stuff, dude, that's cool. You found your niche, and people that are into it, that's cool. It's just, for me, it's just not. It's nothing I want to waste my time on.
There's a couple of people that's what their whole channel is, and there's guys that like I agree with, but like they invite me on the. I'm like, I don't want to go on your channel because then it's going to be like I'm taking sides, and like if you just talked about comics, I'd come on your channel every day and we'll talk about comics. But it's just like, your chat is going to be like, well, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this? What I'm like, can we talk about Superman? I don't know.
Yeah. Talk about the stuff that's coming out that, we've backed, that we're excited about, and, things, talk about our own stuff that we're working on and all that. There's plenty there. There's plenty there to talk about and enjoy and look forward to,
Yeah, life's too short to focus on all that other sour stuff if you don't want to, man. There's a lot of stuff you can look. Yeah, you can look.
I'm glad you brought that up about Chuck Dixon, because I kind of forgot about it, and it's a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. Like, people coming at him like almost like a Frankenstein's monster, in the old black and white movies. They had the pitchforks and the torches and everything. And they just like ran up to the castle and then knocked on the door, and the door never opened. And they eventually was just like, it's cold out. It started to rain.
That's awesome.
Well, I don't know how you guys are feeling about. We're running up on 2 hours.
I got to go to bed. I'm still used to waking up at 4:30 in the morning. Next week I'll be up all night, but
Yeah.
I want to hit the drawing board.
Sounds good. Yeah. Dio's got to wait till the family hits the hay before he can get to his working on his comic. And
exactly.
So we'll get you some time to go ahead and put some lines on your work and get you to sleep, John. So and everyone in the chat who's out there watching, thanks a lot. I mean, really, thanks for watching. It's great to see people in the chat, and hope you guys have a good night. We will try to be here next week with someone else to talk to, and
cool.
Have a good one.
Always a blast.
Thanks for having me on.
Later, John. Later, Crenshaw.